ask anybody's question but yours. You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Disloyal Idiots podcast here on the Fans First Sports Network. Back after a little hiatus due to real-life stuff from literally everyone involved, and still for some people as well. Christian Guzman here alongside Steve Haller and Mike Ostrowski, filling in the resident Ginzer quota, as he so delightfully said in our chat, because the other Ginzer in the regular is MIA. Gentlemen, it's been a time for Syracuse athletics.
Yeah, we've had a gap since we talked, and there's been things that have happened.
Lots of things.
The term "lots of things" is putting it mildly. You might as well go with the hot button topic that is just surrounding Syracuse athletics right now, which is that postseason qualification for the NCAA tournament continues to be muddy and murky at best, determining based on the ranking system that you choose to believe or not believe in, which is putting it mildly, because there's a lot of metrics out there that basically say different things. Welcome back to Bubble Talk, as Syracuse is so gratefully happy to be on.
Yeah, let's take a step back here, because if you rewound this to November of 2023, and you had told me that this team would finish the season without their starting center, with their standout junior being dismissed from the program, with one of their main transfers coming out for the season, and somehow playing a 7-man rotation, bringing back the 2-3 zone, somehow made it to having to have Lunardi have a heart attack if we end up making the bubble talk. Was anybody remote? Like, would anybody have taken that bet?
No.
This team is weird.
That's a type of bet that Turning Stone would just randomly put out, just to rake in the cash.
yeah, that's got house winning written all over it. But
and all of a sudden, somehow we're here.
Yeah,
it is weird because
we have the potential to line up a 3 seed in the ACC tournament. That's how stupid this season is.
So stupid.
If SU wins, and I believe Virginia loses to Georgia Tech, right?
I think it's got to be Virginia losing, and I believe also Wake Forest losing.
I don't think Wake has to do anything, because they don't go into the tiebreaker. Right now, it's just us, Pitt, and Virginia that can go into the 3-way tie.
Let's all just take a moment and wrap our minds around that statement first before we process what it actually means.
Fair enough.
That Syracuse, UVA, Pitt in 2024 has the potential to go to a 3-way tie for one of the top 3 seeds in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, this is really and we actually have a likely path, well, comparatively likely path to a 4 seed and a double bye, which who the hell would have taken that to start the year, or anytime during the year for the most part?
And how poetic is it that Joe Jordan is the one standing in the way of that double bye?
Yeah, well, he got his in the Dome. Maybe we can shut him down in Clemson and call it a.
Is Tyus Battle back for another game winner in the quarter? Does he have? Can he provide some of that magic?
I think he's out of eligibility at this point.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yep.
Is anybody really out of eligibility at this point?
No. Again, I showed Steve this a couple of weeks ago. There's a 46-year-old dad who's playing goal for North Texas's men's lacrosse program.
Yeah, why not? I don't think I have any eligibility left, because technically, I only played 3 of my 4 years. So yeah, I could put in for a med shirt at this point.
Alrighty. Well, it looks like that means Steve was going to join CVAS at Union College for a father-son duo on the offensive line coming up in 2050.
There you go.
So everyone look out for that coming in the near future.
That's actually not that far off, damn it.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Not really that far off. Let's take a step back, because as Steve said, we haven't been on a podcast in a little bit of time. And to say that a lot has happened to the Syracuse basketball program is an understatement of all understatements. Because some of the losses have been baffling and some of the wins have been equally as baffling. Of course, that included a court storming that did not injure a North Carolina based player. Because
Armando Bacot made it out in one piece.
Armando Bacot did make it out in one piece. Congratulations to him. But it felt like, Tommy Slater from CNY Central kept on using consistently inconsistent, which brought us back to the Dino Babers era. But that was basically this Syracuse team. And that, it was a real Jekyll and Hyde team in February of doing incredibly well and then doing incredibly poorly. And it seems like maybe, just maybe, the ship has slowly started to right itself towards the end of this month.
Yeah. And it seems it's a weird feel because this team it's so young. It's all sophomores. Literally everybody that sees the court is a sophomore. There's nobody else. There's no juniors. There's no freshmen. It's strictly sophomores. And usually Jim Boeheim himself used to say it, that by the end of that second season, they are not sophomores anymore. And we're starting to see that and starting to see that maturity rise. We're starting to see Chris Bell round into actually playing defense and getting rebounds and having ridiculous blocks, and Kadir Copeland doing whatever the hell he does. And
as most people pointed out last night, or whenever the game was, last night, again, the days are being muddled up. Yeah. As people pointed out last night, Kadir Copeland is doing his best audition for the Harlem Globetrotters. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's also doing his best I'm from Philly imitation of Scoop Jardine of what in the hell is he doing? Oh, okay, it worked.
Scoop called him out and said, basically showed off the Philly love. I believe it was on his Instagram story. So
that's great. Yeah, no, it's great.
Scoop is aware of the Philly connection.
Perfect.
Mike, you've been in person for most of these games, and because of being on campus, you're the one who is more relatively connected with the Syracuse program, more so than Steve and I are right now, just due to our other commitments. What's happening? Because it doesn't feel like there's, again, not much consistency around the Syracuse team, but maybe there is now.
Well, connected is a loose term. I'm still not getting many questions in the post game. I don't know if you saw in the Notre Dame one, Donna beat me out for the very last one of the day. So that was not my finest moment. But yeah, it's consistently inconsistent is definitely one way to put it. But the part that has been straight consistent is this team is scoring like crazy. And for a team that doesn't actually have a shooter yes, you have Chris Bell, who's the definition of Jekyll and Hyde, hot and cold. But for a team that doesn't really have a pure shooter who you can count on for 20 plus a night, they're finding a way to get points in any way you can imagine. There are some nights where all 5 guys in a starting rotation are putting up double figures. There's some nights where Q is the one leading the team with 26 and Bell's got a 20 odd ones. And that's the thing. Every game has been entertaining, but you also have no idea what to expect from the Syracuse offense. You know they're going to find some crazy way to score, but you have no idea how they're going to do it. I guess that's the best way I could put it right now.
The other thing that I did notice that's probably contributing to this late season consistency of them kind of settling in, you have Mintz isn't forcing things as much as he was. Justin Taylor isn't hucking up things when he's not hitting. Bell when he's not hitting has been actually reining in. They're showing a level of maturity that they haven't, which seems to, Starling yesterday wasn't scoring, but he was playing within himself. And that was something we didn't see earlier in this year.
Definitely. And I'll be completely honest. This season, I've been pretty hard on Justin Taylor, but in these last couple of games, he's really found his role on the team a lot more. He's not forcing shots when they're not there. He'll take the easy points if he gets close under the basket. But for the most part, he's been willing to play that kind of number 2 distributor, mostly counted on for rebounds and just playing the backcourt. And then, as you said, Chris Bell rebounding. That's stuff is clicking when that happens.
That was not on my bingo card for this year at all.
If it was on anybody's bingo card, I need to call you for lottery numbers.
I was about to say that. I need that to afford rent. Anyway, a lot of this, honestly, also, like, not to be too much of a Debbie Downer, but in all honesty, a lot of this doesn't matter if Syracuse can't beat Clemson. When's that game? Wednesday, Tuesday. Like, again, a lot of this doesn't matter if Syracuse can't upend the Tigers on Tuesday. It's Syracuse, like most of the latter years under the Boeheim umbrella, are still missing a good chunk of quad 1 wins. They only have really that one big one against UNC at home. And that's really their only defining moment that makes them look good on their net resume, which is a big reason why the net doesn't favor Syracuse that well right now. And which is a big reason why Syracuse is still very much on the outside looking in. A win against Clemson on the road would definitely help that, because it also gives Syracuse one of those much-needed road wins that has been lacking most of the years. But as we saw in the first game against these two teams, Clemson, unfortunately, is a big matchup problem for Syracuse, especially if Girard is hitting consistently from the team, because it gives them
as really, it was the last time SU played Clemson.
Exactly. And because if Girard's hitting consistently for a team, he gives the Tigers really, really balanced 2-level scoring, which is really, really tough for Syracuse to defend.
So here's what we do. It's like backyard football back in the day. We just go Girard all-time offense. We're both wearing orange. It's fine. He just plays offense for both teams. We're good. Simple. He doesn't play defense anyway, so what the hell? Why not?
Again, the Chris Smooth whoever offense is still my favorite strategy of all time. So
Christian, you mentioned net ranking. I'm going to go on a minor rant because it's dumb.
Well, yes, I know a lot of people. The net is an imperfect system, and no one likes to.
But it's the one that's
likes
used,
it.
so
Yeah.
we have to mention it and bring it up and whatnot. But somehow this week,
I saw this.
Syracuse wins on the road against a conference opponent, albeit Louisville, a not great conference opponent, and Georgia Tech moves to a quad 2 win, and somehow Syracuse drops 2 points in the net. How is this possible? Your schedule got harder. You win a conference game on the road, and yet somehow lose points? Like, you can only play what's in front of you. Like, this, it makes zero sense whatsoever.
Well, you did only beat Louisville by 6, and you should have beat them by a lot more.
Yeah, but we didn't get extra points for beating UNC by however many we beat them by.
That's one of the things about net is that it takes margin of victory into a big factor.
Right, which, again, that's something that I take a bit of issue with, because margin of victory is, nominal. Like, if that's the case, and I think, I can't remember who, but somebody went on a rant about it on Twitter or something else that I saw linked. But, like, if you're taking margin of victory into account for these rankings, then what is the benefit to not just playing literally more cupcakes than Jim Boeheim played?
Like, hey, guess who did that? The Big 12.
Yeah.
And guess what Syracuse's non-conference schedule is going to look like next year?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Buffalo,
Marist,
Niagara, Binghamton.
yeah, exactly.
Tour of New York.
I mean, definitely Marist. I talked to James about that. It's apparent he's already booking that.
Yeah.
There you
Marist, I mean, throw in Albany in there. Definitely open up the season against Lemoyne, because that's always worked well.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2009, but
Well, as long
I don't know
as
what
long as
you're
it's not an
talking
exhibition,
about.
we're good. we've never played them in a real game, so
This is indeed true. Although shout out to Lemoyne, who are, both of their basketball programs are in good. I'm not sure what their men's is, but the women at least have a top 3, if I'm not mistaken, seed in their NEC tournament coming up, which is impressive for their first season in Division I basketball.
how are Grand Canyon and McNeese State ahead of us in the net by 30 points?
Blow out your opponents.
Drake is at 48.
Again, the answer is, who was Drake playing in November?
Right. And even in conference, they're playing the Missouri Valley.
Shout out to the Missouri Valley.
Yeah. San Francisco, like there's it. Yeah. The whole thing's dumb, but whatever. I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah, no,
until I see some other name.
Because,
I'm like, what the hell?
But once again, we go back to the Cassillo School of scheduling.
Yeah.
Because of where the net is right now, you go to the Cassillo School of scheduling.
That's the thing, though. By the net, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th in the ACC, and yet by what's being played on the court, we're at worst 4th. What? How? How is this a thing? But whatever.
Stranger things have happened. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, like Chris Bell rebounding.
I mean, yes, that is indeed a strange thing to happen.
Yep. So, yeah. So it comes down to Clemson. Right now, we're the 4 seed. If we lose to Clemson, we're likely the 5, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think we can drop low.
I think there is a small world there. I think there was a world where Syracuse beats Clemson and is still a 5, which I think is the most ideal world for Syracuse, honestly.
Right, to be able to get that extra padded win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if Syracuse gets the 5 and gets the win against Clemson, they play the winner of the 12-13. And right now, bottom of the ACC is just, that.
Yeah.
Although Notre Dame, helped Syracuse out because Notre Dame somehow figured out how to play for a game against Clemson.
Yeah, so Syracuse, that's where weight comes into the equation. Not on the 3 seed line, but on the 4 to 5 seed line, and where we could fall, because they are currently 10-8. So if they magically won out, they'd be sitting at 12-8.
Yeah, no, Shields on Hoops on Twitter does a great job with Syracuse basketball, and he has a bracket up right now on his page. I'll see if I can actually pull this up without my computer crashing. Let's open pray, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be interesting to see how this Syracuse team goes on with the tournament right now. So here's his bracket again. As you can see, it says if Syracuse beats Clemson and everything goes the way of the current KenPom predictions, this is what the bracket would look like if Syracuse beats Clemson and the KenPom predictions go by chalk. Syracuse would beat a 5, and then they would play the winner of Boston College Notre Dame.
Right, which is ideal.
Yeah, which would be actually the most ideal thing. And again, that's where that Wake Forest game would actually come into hand as well.
Now, what is the farthest Syracuse could drop would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hypothetically, I think tiebreaker, they could only go to the 7 line.
And this would still be fine because they played a 10-15, which, again, that's still a winnable game as well.
Right. Now, that also puts the matchup against Duke in there. So it's like that. I guess that 5 and 6 line.
It's against severely injured Kyle Filipowski. I mean,
can't even imagine. But yeah, I mean that if we're going to be on that playing on the second day, then that 5 or 6 lines where we want to be ideally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because we did beat UNC doesn't mean we want to try and do it again.
Nope. because Baycott's going to be mad and it's going to be like, well,
Yeah, about that.
I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. So, but again, I don't think Syracuse has to beat Clemson. I don't think if they don't beat Clemson, I don't.
Outside of a final run, I don't see.
Yeah, unless they make the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's honestly probably unless they win, even if they like. I guess they make the finals,
They
but
make
that's
the finals.
still a very, very difficult run.
I think. Yeah, no, I think
It'd be a road Q2, right?
though. I think Clemson's high enough where it'll be a Q1.
Would they be a Q1 loss?
Yeah,
I can never remember who goes where and what and how.
I'm going to look this up. Right, that's one of the things that's actually good about net is, if you want to call it good about net, is that the net places a lot of emphasis on road wins, and which is why it balances these road games so far into what is a Q1 and Q1 or Q2. So in order to get a Q1 win on the road, you have to be between 1 and 40 in the net. And Clemson is right now 25. So that is safely a Q1 win on the road.
And even a Q1 loss, like, we wouldn't have anything. Like, if we made the finals, there would at least be one other Q1 win on a neutral court in there.
Exactly. And shout out to Pittsburgh for currently barely clinging on to being Q1 status. Excuse me, it's actually 1 to 75. So like Clemson is safely Q1. And a shout out to Pittsburgh again for being that safe Q1 road win.
Isn't it like a weird? Yeah, because then at home it's what through. 30?
It's only through 30.
Yeah.
It's like it's 30 at home, 50
on neutral.
Yeah, 50 at neutral on 75 on the road.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So the two Q1 wins for Syracuse, obviously North Carolina and Pittsburgh.
I get less confused looking at like advanced stats for soccer and baseball than I do at this net crap.
What this sheet doesn't,
what, especially like think about the committee having to look at how many sheets that look like this. Like, what? This makes total sense.
This amount of numbers doesn't, I mean, obviously you have to consider this a non-Division I game against Chaminade also. Very, very important statistic to keep track of as well.
Oh, 100%. And then, the other thing is lately it's been the push against
again, also something that's also not helping Syracuse, this 2-point win against Quad 4 Louisville at home, because that game was also high levels of stupid.
Yeah. I mean, stupid happens. What really isn't her helping it. Like if we'd have beaten BC and Georgia Tech like we should have, then we're probably, as weird as it sounds.
And also that awful Florida State game is not helping Syracuse with that Quad 3 loss.
See, I always forget about the like how they took away the what was the emphasis on like how teams finish the season. Because in all honesty, that should make a difference as to who's playing what, when, and where. Like somebody tanks the last 5 games, but they were good enough in the beginning that they still make it in. It shouldn't have the same weight as someone who has hit their stride and is winning towards the end of the season.
There's absolutely still some emphasis on how teams end the season. Like there may not exactly be in writing, but I guarantee that committee looks at that as a team. Does a team coming together at the right time, and ratings wise, are they going to keep playing well in the tournament?
Well, and along those lines, is there anyone who wants to play Syracuse in March?
Yeah, teams that can shoot the 3.
Fair. I mean, that's always been the case, though.
And also teams that have Zach Edey.
Okay.
/ Armando Baycott / guys who are, going to SEMA League round and say, hey, he's small.
Yeah, he's tiny. It's fine. And by tiny, I mean like
Relatively so.
How many inches taller than me? 10?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still got almost a foot on me. So
Yep,
Yeah.
he's got a foot on all of us and is still small by basketball standards.
Yep, that sounds right. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow we've been able to wax poetic on this for 26 minutes now, which is really weird. Oh, sorry, he's only got 8 inches on me. It's okay. But yeah, we've been able to wax poetic on whatever is happening in the bowels of all the bracketologists' rooms at this point for almost half an hour. I'd say.
I mean,
Should we hit some halftime?
before we hit some halftime, let's actually talk about the bracketology that actually Syracuse fans wish they were talking about instead, and that's on the women's side of basketball.
Okay, we'll hit that before then. Yeah, I was going to
Because-
come out of the break with that, but good to go.
Well, it's because I don't think this will take too much time, and it's a much simpler conversation.
Yes.
Because again, this is the conversation most Syracuse fans want to have, whether Syracuse is the top 4 seed in the nation.
Right.
And Syracuse women's basketball is on a small win streak away from securing that, because they're bordering on defense of a 4 or 5 seed, which to be solidly in that conversation and not deviate from that area that much in Felicia Legetjak's second year at the helm of the program is monumentally impressive.
Yeah.
Yes, and go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Oh no, fire away.
And even the game that they ended up losing in overtime to NC State, just the fact that they were in that one straight until the end and nearly stole it in the very closing seconds of the game is incredible. That they really are this good, and whether they get in as a 4 or as a 5, they should win some games in March. Just going to leave it at that.
I mean, who knows if they do what they did in 2016, but that
Right.
well, one could dream.
Yeah, I mean, right now they've got Syracuse as the 5 seed in the Albany bracket,
Which is a good thing. Yeah.
ESPN does, that is.
That would be the most ideal thing for Syracuse, is to get placed in the Albany bracket.
Right. So
Obviously.
they've got, their road would be Richmond and then the winner of Colorado and Grand Canyon. So
And then just a quick road down I-90.
and instead of having to travel across the country, they're hitting the throughway and
Get
just
a
2 hour bus
couple
ride through there.
get a couple de facto home games in. If you can't
Yep.
play in the Dome, that's the next best thing.
I mean, we saw how well that worked out in 2003.
Yep. Wait, no, it'd be the Boulder Regional. That's why. So that's why Colorado's there.
Yeah.
So if they made it out of the Boulder Regional, it'd be in Albany.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Got it.
Which is also why they want that top 4 seed, is that they would be at home for the first 2 games of the tournament as well.
Uh-huh.
That's why that top 4 seed is so important.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, simple discussion.
Yeah. never mind.
Daisha Fair continues to be awesome. Freshmen are really contributing as well. Shout out to Alyssa Latham, who's been incredible for Felicia Legetjak. That's an exciting team to watch when
I mean, the number 4 scoring leader of all time in women's college basketball.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is somehow is not getting, and like Kaylin Clark gets her due.
Yeah, I was going to say it's getting slightly overshadowed by the person who just broke the Division I scoring record.
Right. When you break Pistol Pete's record,
Yeah,
that is more impressive. I will give her that.
that is getting slightly overshadowed.
Yep. So.
And technically, she still had an extra year of eligibility if she wanted it.
Oh, really?
Yes, technically, she still has her COVID year of eligibility.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
The Caitlin Clark's going to the WNBA, and it'll be exciting to watch her light that league on fire. It'll be interesting to see Daisha Fair also.
I was going to say, so
join
2
them.
of the top 4 scorers in women's college basketball history are going to the WNBA this year.
Yes.
Yes.
That should help. That should help the offenses.
It should, theoretically.
I would think.
You make great theoretical points here, Steve.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I'm not a doctor, but this seems to be putting more offense into the league. So, sure.
I'm not a doctor, but also knows what helps drive interest in college and just in general sports.
The HomeField NIL deal.
Indeed, it does. HomeField Apparel is your one-stop shop for all your great throwback Syracuse or college of your choice apparel. Of course, you can go to HomeField Apparel. Use the code NOONS23. That's NOONS23 and NUNES23 and get 10% off your first purchase at HomeFieldApparel.com. And of course,
some schools that will actually benefit their NIL collective as well.
Most recently getting signed with Virginia. Shout out to friend of the program and friend of the New Tradition site, Caroline Darney, who are getting that done with HomeField Apparel.
Absolutely. And they, it's hopefully soon you can buy your Vita the Goat t-shirt and it'll kick something over to Syracuse, which would be a no-brainer for SU Athletics, I would think. But
you would think.
One would think.
But it is SU Athletics.
Also true.
Well,
I mean, HomeField, I'll tell you this right now. As soon as you get your NIL, this is all, more on Syracuse, but once you get your NIL stuff figured out, I will buy a bomber jacket.
Yes,
that is 160 going towards you.
Yes.
If it means a small portion is going towards a player I like.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think I would 100% get one of the hoodies that I've been putting off. So
same.
The bomber jacket is nice though.
Once again, HomeFieldApparel.com, and you can go ahead and use the code NOONS23 and NUNES23 for 10% off your first purchase.
Hold on, did they add some more Q stuff?
They might have, and Andy did tell us about it.
I think they did.
Yes, they did.
The joggers are back in stock as well. Those are
those joggers are incredible.
Yep. Yes, the script Q's hoodie. That's that will be coming my way if we get the NIL deal done.
Yes.
So I bought my wife.
I'm very tempted to get the 90s quarter zip.
The 90s quarter zip looks.
Oh god,
that's I will most likely make an investment towards that as well.
That looks beautiful.
It looks so good. That 90s logo is so good. Go to HomeFieldApparel.com. Get your Syracuse apparel, throwback Syracuse apparel, dudes 23 and NUNES23, 10% off your first purchase. You know who probably really likes that 90s throwback logo other than Steve?
Adrian Autry?
Well, not just Adrian Autry. Yes, one Fran Brown. And boy, does Fran Brown not stop.
No.
He wasn't kidding.
The mildest way I could put it.
I mean, we literally heard that he was the keynote speaker at the New York State Football Coaches Association and took an hour after his keynote, talked to people, and then went back and literally was like, no, I have to go back and continue working. And this is, in the evening. He's just like, no, I got to go back and work. It's like, what are you doing? Okay.
It's a great time to be a Syracuse football fan because, again, the Fran just continues to do things online and just in the optics of the program that just look good, not only on his program, but look good in the community, look good for his team, look good on himself as well. I haven't seen this much engaged of a community effort from Syracuse in quite a while, and Fran's being the leader of that, which is incredible. And it's translating into some of these wild top 10 lists that we're seeing from some of these high profile recruits. I mean,
yeah, I think, do I do it already?
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, everyone, if you're listening on your podcast platform of choice, this is the traditional Steve pulls up the spreadsheet pushing the broadcast.
You can probably almost no longer read because, well,
more
information has been added.
This is Steve's net sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we sit currently, if we're going to be down to 2025,
Just 2025. Ladies and
this is just 2025. So we have a top 5 from a 4-star wideout. We have a top 5 from a 4-star cornerback. There was a couple others I missed. I believe there was a couple of top 10s we got dropped in. A bunch of kids that came to the junior day and were extremely happy. A couple official visits already planned. So
You
things are.
You got Winston Watkins on there?
Yeah, let's see. Where's he?
Should be near the top.
Yep. 5'9", 175. Colorado decommit.
Ty Jackson.
Yep, Ty Jackson's right up there. Fahim Delane. We threw our hat in for David Sanders, who's absolutely stupidly ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember seeing that as well. Yes,
like number 1 recruit in the nation.
Again, as we kind of said at the beginning of all this nonsense, Fran Brown is taking shoot your shot to the absolute limit.
Yep, 100%. Now, the other thing to look at all of these star ratings on these 25 recruits. That's all the offers to 4 stars we have out. We also have a couple to 3 stars and then a bunch of kids that haven't been ranked yet. But those kids that haven't gotten, composite grades or star grades, a lot of them are floating in that like high to mid 80s, depending on which sites, some 89s and whatnot. So even the 3 stars, we're talking high 3s that he's shooting after, and it's mildly insane to think.
Yeah, and just in case people forgot, what exactly the impact of all this means, even because Syracuse has like all these recruits. Steve has this tab somewhere on the bottom there of all these sheets of the historical rankings in terms of who was brought in, and if you notice all of the brown on the right side from the coaches, again, this was just within the last
month before this sign.
This was just the last 3 months.
Yeah. So in the top 20, he has what did we figure out?
5.
Let's see. So that Marquise Sproul would be the 20th.
No, you're hiding a couple of lines there.
Oh,
that's definitely not 20 lines. Because you don't have the transfers.
So that's what it was. So 5 of the top 10 non-transfers were his. And then if you add transfers in, it goes even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Spruill was 21. He's the one you can't see. But everybody else on this page is the top 20 recruits that have been in the modern era. Brown has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 of the top 20 recruits that Syracuse has ever had since recruits were a thing. So, yeah. Crazy to think. I don't even know what to make of it at this point, in all honesty.
Yeah, and when you look at, and the program has just taken such a drastic shift in Brown's direction, especially now when you see like how much of an online presence that this team just in general now has with Brown at the helm. I mean, we've seen some incredibly produced pieces of one of them being on Brown's first couple of months, a couple of before dawn practices, a great produced piece on Aronde Gadsden and his return to the program. Like, Brown as a leader is pushing the right buttons to generate the necessary hype that he's bringing to this program.
And the unscripted stuff too has been phenomenal. I mean, between balling out and Walnut Park, all the community stuff he's been doing, it seems like just about every week it's either him directly or a large group of the guys on the football team are out in the Syracuse area, where it's not just the Syracuse University, it's the big private university up on the hill, and it's just there, and it's not really part of the city at all. He's very clearly trying to change that, and he's doing a pretty good job at it so far.
Shout out to I shout out to King Joseph Edwards, who's really taking the community
Oh yeah,
efforts by storm.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's already been out and about, and
if
what
he's
was
even
supposed-
half decent as a player, which I think he will be, he's gonna be a Syracuse legend.
The thing I saw on his tape is that he's got great hands. Like he's really, really good with his hands.
you cannot beat that as a defensive edge rusher.
Yeah. Which would probably play very, very well.
Yep. Oh, you know who else came in as an edge rusher? Fadil Diggs.
Mm-hmm. Who was his coach at Texas A&M?
I think he might be our defensive coordinator.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's nice.
Not bad. So yeah. Also, our only 25 commit
It's 14 on the
is
list.
13th, the 13th best recruit we've ever gotten.
What if you take out the transfers?
If you take out the transfers, let's see.
And we do some counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. And
The seventh best recruit to ever come to
that is
Syracuse.
the 7th. One of those did not make it to campus, and the other transferred out after a year. So, yeah. That's things are happening here.
It's a good time to be on the hill. I forget when spring practice starts. Mike, you probably remember. When does spring practice start?
The 20-something. Give me 1 second.
Because that will be a hell of a time to be
I
following.
believe the 21st. I'm looking now.
Because that will be a hell of a time to be following Syracuse social media.
Do you know the really disconcerting thing?
Yeah.
And also to show you that Fran is leaving no rock unturned.
Oh, 2028. Oh, wonderful.
There's a offer out to a 2028 kid. Earlier this year, I thought I was going crazy when we had offers out to 2027 kids. And then I realized that we already had an offer out to a 28.
If my math is correct, and it might not be, what, a 2028 kid? That kid was born in 2010.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's currently an 8th grader, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
What a world.
here we are.
So yeah, spring practice does start on the 21st, runs until the spring game on April 20th. We will hopefully get some good access this year.
I might
And-
actually be able to make it to spring practices now also, which will be really, really fun.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
So Mike and I can get some back-to-back coverage of focusing on the two fields. Or no, it will only be one field because it'll be indoors, most likely. Although, knowing Fran, Fran might do the quote-unquote insane thing, which would quickly become not insane, and hold spring practice on the two outside fields outside of Ensley.
As
Oh,
long as
there
he
you go.
uses the grass field and not the turf that's actually concrete painted over field.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
one of those is, your standard grass field, and then the other one, I feel like that just is going to be an instant ACL tear for somebody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, another thing I noticed when I was playing around with this week, we're doing a lot of package deal offerings. I mean, not package deals, but like spreading out. Like we've got, 325s from Archbishop Spalding in Maryland, a couple of Bergen Catholic kids, of course, because
I mean, the Syracuse and Bergen Catholic,
Yeah.
just
Cardinal Hayes, Chaminade Madonna Prep. Like there's
I
a
know
lot
a lot
of
of Syracuse people will like the Matha sighting there.
Oh yeah, yep. A couple of the Matha kids. It's you can see like Don Bosco, Donovan, like all the big
All the New Jersey
actually,
prep schools.
Yep, I was going to say Mike Thomas had us in the top 5. That was a
Mhm.
big one. Erasmus Hall, who came from there, that's on the current roster.
The guy you're highlighting right now, Caden Brown.
No, there's an actual active from the Bronx, or I can't remember. I want to say there's an active player from Erasmus, but like good counsel, who we have Fahim Delane, who's a 5-star 2025 safety. while we're at it, why not throw some offers out to the rest of his
Oh.
team?
So another recruit just put Syracuse in his top 6 an hour ago.
Who's that?
Jalen Matthews.
Oh, wow. That's a big one. Literally. He's huge.
There you go.
Nice. He's coming to campus. Because I'm ranking by composite and not. There we go. Jalen Matthews. Oh, wow. So he was a UGA crystal ball on 24/7, but you're now top 6.
He isn't. As you can see, UVA is in his top 6. I mean, again, just the world we're living in. You know,
Right.
Yeah, Syracuse
Yeah.
competing with Tennessee, Georgia, the U, somehow Rutgers, Maryland. But hey,
Well, he's a Jersey kid, so the
Again,
Rutgers-
I mean, as you
I
can
get
see,
that.
as
I
you
get
can
that,
see in his pick, number 2 player in New Jersey.
Yep. Yeah, and he's a big boy. He's 6'5", 290.
As we switch back to the spreadsheet.
So it's Tom's River kid. So yeah, just ticking all the Fran Brown buttons.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a Syracuse. It's a good time to be a Syracuse football fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh yeah, we have this kid was a junior day, and we're in his top 2 apparently.
Very nice.
No, a top 2 was a thing, but
Yes, apparently it is. Well,
I mean, I recall Joe Girard's top 2 was the Tigers or the Tigers. And he went to the Tigers,
go figure.
the ones that wear orange.
I still find it really funny that no matter what school Joe Girard chose, he would have still played Syracuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he gets to play him twice. Surely that was not impacted at all.
I don't think so.
No, it was playing time, obviously, but come on. We can joke. That's kind of our job.
It is indeed our job, jokes and garbage. Let's end off the podcast with the other spring sport that's happening. The spring sport that matters. Lacrosse season. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Christian's been doing a lot of lacrosse, for those unaware.
Yeah, I mean, not the Central New York team that you probably thought it was going to be for, but close enough. For those who know, I'm doing play-by-play for Cornell, men's and women's lacrosse. So when Syracuse gets to that game, I will be very, very unbiased because I am going to be required to, and obviously we'll do that as well. But still, let's talk about the Syracuse team, which for some reason has decided, yes, overtime losses are the perfect way to kick off the year. Because, boy, Syracuse probably should have won both those games against Maryland and Army.
I mean,
Syracuse
they literally should have won the first one. I will die on that hill.
They should have won the first one against Maryland. Yes. Shout out to the goalmouth dive rule. Such an awful rule.
So crazy.
Oh, boy.
So yeah, this team can play. It does have some weaknesses, but they can definitely compete with anyone. Literally.
Just, hopefully, once again, like last year, defense is still, at times, question mark.
Yeah.
Offense is most certainly not.
The defense at least looks better than it did last year.
Yes.
And
I
you
mean,
still have a Will Mark to somewhat bail you out.
Yes, a Will Mark, yes.
Yep. I mean, beyond that, it's. Last night was just a weird ass game.
Last night was really weird. That was.
What was it? Seven goal run to open it up.
Yeah,
Seven goal
it
run
was
to open it up.
7-0,
Yeah.
then 9-8 high point, and then another 7-0 to close it out.
Right. And Spallina had 7-2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't he have 7 goals?
Spallina's now. I mean, who knows how much the goalless performance will affect him? Probably not that much. But Spallina's now putting himself squarely into top 5 Tewaaraton finalist conversation.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But
That's gonna be really fun. With 3 of the Tewaaraton finalists from last year are going to be back in the top 5 again this year, and Brennan O'Neill, Colin Schellenberger, and CJ Kirst, and throw in Spolina.
Somehow I did not realize that all three of those guys were back.
Yeah.
Huh.
And for those who didn't realize that there was another Kirst.
There is
Yeah.
another curse.
You
And
were
he is
sadly
also very
mistaken.
good.
He's playing in Ithaca, and
Cool.
and his first 4 games, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, and then 7 goals against Ohio State.
Great. Absolutely.
Again, just to toot the Cornell horn, Cornell probably should have won that game against Denver. That they played.
Yeah. So on the bright side, neither of our lacrosse programs have lost a game outside of the top 10.
Yeah, on the women's side, I mean, it's always going to be tough when you go up against the reigning national champions. You bring back the reigning Warton Award winner on the women's side. So
Wait, what?
on the women's side, yeah. Northwestern. Shout out to them.
Oh, to open the season.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about coming up. I was like, but they're playing Stony Brook on Tuesday.
Are the men playing on Tuesday?
No, are the men? The men are playing Hopkins on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
So
just the women's on Tuesday.
So that'll give the opportunity for Joe Spalina's sons to yell at their dad from the stands.
Yep.
Most likely.
100%. So, yeah, for anyone who didn't see on the women's side, that loss to Northwestern that Christian was alluding to. And then since we talked, they
There's also the Maryland loss, which is, it's
right.
That weekend in general was just like, what?
Yeah, that was a bad weekend. Kind of glad we didn't talk that weekend. But they followed that up with knocking off Notre Dame in South Bend, which is always a good thing.
And then this past weekend was kind of dominating against Duke.
Yeah. So they're kind of in that lull. The Duke, well, I guess Stony Brook isn't really a lull, but compared to Stony Brook's past, it's a lull.
The very interesting thing is this upcoming weekend is, Hopkins is trying to do its best Texas football impression and saying that they're back, especially after wins this weekend. The past 2 wins for Hopkins against a struggling UNC team and a very good UVA team. So,
yeah,
this will be a great litmus test for both programs to show, hey, Syracuse can, win against a top 5 program and not, have a crushing overtime loss. And for Hopkins to prove that, hey, we're actually back and can hang with the big programs in the ACC and not just get, close wins against UNC and UVA.
Yeah, because right now, Hopkins is 4 and Stony Brook is 11 on the women's side.
Yeah, I mean, Stony Brook's always going to be good. That'll be a great test. But that's a great test for the women's team as well.
Yeah. So they follow that up with Virginia Tech, who I don't believe is, they're 40th currently in the whatever NCAA poll, like the actual NCAA. I don't know if that's coaches or just arbitrary. Oh, that's the RPI. That was last year's RPI. Wow, I am using outdated data. Weirdly, that probably tracks to where it is now. Let's
probably still does, yeah. Mm-hmm. Probably still does.
Let's see what they've got. All right, Inside Lacrosse Women's Division I polls. Stony Brook's 12, not 11. Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, that's could be much worse.
It could be much worse, but again, good test this upcoming weekend for both teams.
Right, and Hopkins is 8, so both are slightly down.
I mean, Hopkins
right in that same wheelhouse.
Yeah. Hopkins is sitting at 5-1 again. Those 2 big wins against the 2 ACC opponents in North Carolina and Virginia. As Quick Kesnick said, it was a pretty bad weekend for the pretty boy ACC, with Duke losing to Penn, UNC also losing to Princeton. UNC looks in absolute shambles right now, which is incredible to say. So,
yeah, they'll probably drop out of the polls, right?
They'll probably be around the very edges of it.
They
Because
were
it's
at
no-
18 this week, so
Oh yeah, they'll probably drop out now. Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see. You know what I mean? And you needed Notre Dame to, put on a show against Maryland to just barely save the skin of the ACC today.
oh no, UNC did win today.
And that was against Penn. Yeah. So, yeah. Princeton and Penn had an interesting weekend where they played both tobacco road schools and just swapped opponents on Friday and Sunday.
So weird.
Shout out to that interesting schedule.
Well, hey, whatever works.
And do whatever works. Interesting time to be on the Hill. Both lacrosse programs in full swing, both basketball programs looking to prove their cases in various positions on the NCAA tournament, and football still ramping up the hype.
Yep. And in MLS news, Miles Robinson is scoring for Cincy. Ryan Raposo is starting for Vancouver.
He's starting, that's impressive.
Yeah, he started last night for him at least. So yeah.
And Nate Edwards signed with Toronto FC2 of MLS Next Pro. So
Yep.
We've got more Orange alums in the MLS.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Still have an Orange alum in the Champions League. Let's go, Tejan.
Are they still in the Champions League?
Oh no, the round of 16 hasn't ended yet, right?
I don't know. Well, no, because technically he wouldn't be, because he was eligible for Bruges, and then after he transferred, he would not be eligible.
Oh, right. Stupid 2-club rule.
Right. So.
In spirit.
And then, anybody heard anything about Apoku recently? I got some updates, but I can't.
Not sure, but again, well, I mean, Leicester has a levy of recruits that are, not I say recruits. Leicester has a levy of young players to like support them. That's an interesting thing that's going to be for the two teams that are for Leeds and Leicester, who are most likely going back up to the Premier League next year.
Yeah.
Both of those teams have a lot of young talent that will make them very, very interesting if they can find some stability in the Premier League, because there's a ton of young talent for both of those programs, for both of those clubs that are coming through, and could be Premier League ready very soon and have sky high potential.
So yesterday he played.
Apoku's still with
came out in the 81st minute for Levion.
Yeah, Apoku's still playing for which Levion in the Belgian First League.
Yep. Yeah,
still on loan from Leicester, but again, this will be interesting to see. If at some point Apoku can make it through Leicester, because again, Leicester has so much young talent that is very, very strong.
And we did miss mentioning a Cuse derby in Bono was in net against Kamal Miller in Portland.
Oh yes.
So yeah, Alex is back in the saddle for DC for some reason. I don't know how he ended up winning it back, but he's started the last couple. So
yeah, indeed.
So yeah, fun times all around.
And it'll be interesting to see where we pick up next time we're on air for this great Syracuse podcast and great Syracuse program. A lot of interesting times and a lot of things to be excited for as we enter March. But that will do it for us here on the Disloyal Idiots podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube live Sundays, usually most times at 8 p.m., obviously panelists pending based on our busy lives. Thanks as always, Mike, for joining us and filling in when Andy is always as MIA at certain points. If you did like listening on your podcast platform of choice, thank you as always. Make sure you leave a like, rating, review, comment, so that we can trick the algorithm into expecting the good old Ottoman Empire. And if you're watching on our sister site on dunesmagician.com, we always thank you as always for watching there as well. Alongside Steve and Mike, we'd like to thank you all for listening to the Disloyal Idiots podcast here on the Fans First Sports Network. And as always, go Orange.
Go Orange.
Go Orange.